Για λίγο ησυχία, λίγο ησυχία. Καλή σας μέρα. Να σας ευχαριστώ πολύ για την παρουσία σας στο σημερινό workshop της InterOPTICS. Λέγομαι Γιώργος Αναστασάκης και θα ακούσουμε μια παρουσίαση από τον Andreas Van Assche, ο οποίος είναι τεχνικός υπεύθυνος διεθνών πωλήσεων της Signpost και ένας εκ των αρχιτεκτόνων της ηλεκτρονικής αυτής πλατφόρμας. Το Signpost, η εταιρεία Signpost παράγει το προϊόν Academic Software, το οποίο είναι μια διαδικτυακή πύλη για τις ψηφιακές ανάγκες των εκπαιδευτικών ιδρυμάτων και των πανεπιστημίων. Αυτή η ενιαία πύλη παρέχει στο προσωπικό, στους καθηγητές και στους φοιτητές πρόσβαση σε επώνυμα και ενημερωμένα λογισμικά και εφαρμογές μέσω της πλατφόρμας της. Andreas, I think we're ready. The stage is yours.
All right, thank you. Please let me know if you can't hear me.
We can.
Okay, perfect. I apologize for a little bit of the commotion problems of the corona crisis at this time. I'm going to give you a demonstration of our academic software platform. Now, academic software is a platform where your students or teachers can get all the software they need for their entire year. It's a hub where you can get all the software licenses, everything you need to use software in the class environment. Let me quickly share my screen and then we can get started. Okay. Right. You should be seeing my screen right about now. And this is the academic software portal. So it's the same link for everyone. Not dependent on any school, you all go to the same address. And that is because we use single sign-on. So you use your account from the university to sign in on the platform. We do this for a couple of reasons. Mainly, we are then certain that the user is entitled to the software, entitled to licenses and all the educational benefits of specific software packages. And we also don't require the user to remember yet another account and password. Secondly, when using single sign-on, we can also get more information about the user if that would be required. So we can then make a more detailed or specific selection of software available to them. Now we support multitude of single sign-on protocols. We have OAuth 2, so we support G Suite, Office 365. We have SAML 2 as well. Shibboleth is one of those. But any kind of identity provider which supports a single sign-on through any programming language or protocol, we can add to the platform. So we only use single sign-on to access the platform. Now we'll use a account which is an Office 365 account, and I am already signed in, so I am automatically taken to the platform because I have already signed in my Office 365 account before getting to the platform. Now, the first things we see is that we are greeted by the view of our software. So we are taken to the dashboard, and here we have a full list of all the software which has been made available to me by my university. And since we have over 900 titles, we do make a difference between software which is important or which is you're mostly going to be using during your studies, and software which is more nice to have or which is good or just interesting utilities. So we have these bigger tiles, which is the important software, and then we have the smaller tiles, which are there for when you need them. Now you will see that there is free software as well, like Audacity, Firefox, and Chrome. Any software we add to the platform, we provide support on, and the support is for getting it installed, licensed, anything you need to do to get started with the software. The main reason for that is we noticed in the education that teachers were more hesitant to bring up new software to their students. Students would then try to install the software. Half of them would fail. Some wouldn't find the download. Some wouldn't even be able to enter the product key. So a lot of issues would arise. And then the next time the teacher starts the class, then it becomes more of a support session for getting the software installed for all those students. Now, by using academic software, all that needs to be done is they send us which software package they want to add. We do all the research. We create extensive manuals. We get everything online into the platform, downloads, licensing, everything you need. And then you just direct your students towards the platform, say you need this specific software title, they install it, they can count on our support to get it installed. And then the next day, they can just start the class with software installed, activated, ready to go. So we do notice that a lot more software is being added because it's easier for the educational institution to just provide it to the students. So that's the main reason we also supply the free software. And for getting our support, it's very easy. On every page, we have a direct link to our support. So we can directly ask a question. For example, I have issues with Adobe, and I will be greeted with some of the most frequently asked questions, like how would I install Adobe XD? How do I install and log in to the Adobe Creative Cloud, and so forth. And when I look at that, those are full step-by-step instructions on how to get started, including screenshots, everything you need, full detailed, how to install, activate, log in, all that's needed to be done to install the software. Now we have a manual for every software title we have, and mostly that's enough, but you can always contact us directly. So we have a live chat. Then you will start chatting with one of our support staff. I'm not going to do that. I think they're busy right now. And we can just leave a message. Other than that, we can still just pick up the phone and have a phone conversation, or we can just send an email. Now, during a support call or chat, and at any time, one of our support staff can take over the screen. We use TeamViewer for that. We can take over the screen and support them directly on their device. So the main focus of academic software is to distribute software, manage licensing, and then support the user completely and getting it installed and licensed, with the main focus of really taking away all the hassle of using software in a school environment, taking away the time from our IT support staff in looking at every specific case on getting a software title installed. I think IT staff has more important stuff to do than just getting those problems solved. Now, let's continue with the software. So we have a variety of software available, but we also have a variety of ways we can provide the software to students. Let's take Adobe, for example. So as we look at a software title, we see we have a small information of what the software is, what specific titles it includes, for example. And then we have very short instructions just to get started. The quick steps, so to say, what you need to do to get started with the software. But at any time, if we need more information, we can always fall back on the full manual on how to install academic software, Adobe Creative Cloud, sorry. Now, that's it. We have a download, we can download it, but still Adobe Creative Cloud requires a license. Now you have a subscription-based license for Adobe, which means you need to create an account. You need to attach a license to that account, and from then on, you can get started. Now, what academic software really tries to do is automate all those menial tasks of managing licenses, product keys, all those really time-consuming tasks. Now, all they need to do is just click on request, and automatically in the background, if they do not have an Adobe ID yet with the email address from the single sign-on, which is paul.ewerts@Demo University in my case, then an Adobe ID will be created with that school email address. Automatically a license will be attached to the account, and then the user will be notified directly from Adobe and from academic software as well that their account has been activated. That all happens in 3 to 5 minutes, and then they can automatically get started using the software. And this is just one example. So Adobe is a subscription-based license. It will be automatically added. It's really a self-service deal now. But we have other software as well. Everybody knows Windows 10. You need a product key for that. Now, distributing software with product keys in the school means you have to either print them out and hand them out. You have to send them by email. You have to keep track who has which product key. It's a lot of work. Now, in the case of academic software, all you need to do is you click on request and you will automatically see your product key in the platform. Do you have to see it again because you reinstalled? You just come back to the platform, click here again, and you will see your license again. So this means it's very easy to distribute any kind of license, a subscription, a license key, even a file. It can all be provided through the platform. And we always keep track in the background of who has which license key. And it just takes away all the hassle of managing that for the university. Now, we have simple downloads. We also have the ability to link through to web platforms. For example, LinkedIn Learning. Now, LinkedIn Learning is a platform which supplies educational videos of all different kinds of subjects, from economics to mathematics. But that is a web platform. Now you need an account, you need a subscription. So I think you can see where this is going. If you want to have access to the software, all we need to do is create a request. Then an account will be created, a license will be added to that account, and all I need to do is go to the LinkedIn Learning platform. Through single sign-on, we can automatically sign people in on the platform, and we do that for a multiple set of schools, so they automatically sign in on different web platforms. So academic software is really this hub of giving you access to software, be it a simple download, getting a license, but also making these automatic links to other platforms, other web platforms, applications, any kind. We do some deep integrations into all these different platforms. Now we have download. We also have linking to the other platforms, but we also support virtualization. Now, virtualization can be interesting if you have users who have less performant devices, but you need to run some very demanding software, or you have software that needs to be installed in a specific way, or it's very difficult to install, or you have software which needs a license server. All we need to do is we virtualize the software, and then through our cloud player, we can make it available as a software title to run directly in the browser. So I'm going to run a couple. I'm going to start Pythagoras, for example. So that starts in our cloud player. It runs directly in the browser. You can access it from any device. And now what we're actually seeing is directly live the application running on the server. I have another example, which I'll show you in 5 seconds. So this one, for example. So this is actually Visual Studio Code running directly in our browser. So we can do anything. We can create new files. We can use the platform fully, just like it would be installed on our device, but it is running directly in the browser. Now that's one part of virtualization. So we can run any application virtually in the cloud, which means that all the resource demanding tasks are offloaded into the cloud. You can use lightweight devices. You can make one connection to a license server instead of having every student or teacher create a VPN connection to a license server. It is a solution for difficult software to use, be it license-wise or installation-wise, or even resource-wise. The main focus of the platform is that we really take away all the hassle of managing software in a school environment. Now, virtualizing one application is just one part of academic software. I am not certain how familiar everyone is with the cloud or with Microsoft Azure, for example. So Microsoft Azure is the cloud solution or cloud offering of Microsoft. There's a enormous bunch of different resources. You have virtual machines, databases, direct application hosting, storage, backup, but it's very complicated. So we created a layer on top of academic software, which is Student Cloud. Now, Student Cloud will actually give you access to resources in the cloud by the click of a button. That's the philosophy behind it. So if you just use the cloud like you use water, then it becomes cheap. If you use water when you need it, when you drink it, water is cheap. But if you just leave the tap running, then it will become very costly. And it's exactly the same with the cloud. So if you don't know what you're doing, you leave resources unchecked and running while they shouldn't be, then it's going to be expensive. But if you only use resources when you need them, then the cloud is very cheap. And Student Cloud handles a lot of those issues. So you don't really need to know anything about the cloud to use it. You never need to access the Azure portal. And you also don't have to worry about the costs which are expanding because resources keep running. So as you can see here, it directly ties into academic software. I'm going to switch over to the full view now because this is just a demonstration. So academic software has Student Cloud directly included, and it gives you a set of credits. Now, credits is actually just to make people aware that what they're using, it's not free. It's not a direct link to money or something. It's just that we have the ability to limit how much they use. So you don't have a unlimited amount of resources you can use and then a huge bill at the end of the month. It's to make them aware that what they are doing, what they are consuming is actually resources. So they have a set amount of credits, and then that will be automatically depleted while running virtual machines. So Student Cloud gives you the ability to have a lab environment of virtual machines that you can use directly in the classroom, or students can use it at home to perform assignments, but you just have access to virtual machines in a very simplistic way without any of ever having to know how it actually works in the backend, so to speak. So here I am a teacher. I have a lot of credits because I can do a lot of labs. So I have 2 at this time. Now I'll just show you one of the labs. So we have different virtual machines. I have claimed one myself. I'll start it so then we can continue on when it has started later on today. And I see all the virtual machines in my lab. So I have created the lab. My students have signed in on the lab and started using virtual machines. And I myself have one too. So for every virtual machine, you can see which operating system it's running on, how many CPUs, how much RAM, and also who is the host or the owner of that virtual machine, who has claimed it. Now, claiming means that we don't create resources because we expect that many. We will create resources on demand automatically. So a huge part of Student Cloud is that we manage all those resources in the background automatically. If somebody requests a new lab, it's automatically created. If somebody requests a virtual machine, they will claim some virtual machine, then everything is done in the background. All they have to do is just click one button. So at this time, my virtual machine is starting, and I can still see the other virtual machines. Now, I already have a public IP, and then I'll be able to connect to it through RDP. I can stop it at any time. I can edit it. I can change the IP address. I can add some ports, remove some ports. So I have basic control over the virtual machine. And I can also share it with my colleagues. So I can look up somebody who is part of the lab, and then I can share it with them. And then they can see that virtual machine as well. So sharing is interesting when you want to have one virtual machine for multiple users. Let's say you have a group assignment, and you can do that as well. Now, my virtual machine is running. If I were to forget I started it for 15 minutes or something, then it will automatically shut down. So now this virtual machine is running, my credits are being depleted. And if I forget about it, then it will automatically be shut down by Student Cloud to make sure that my credits are not completely depleted, or the school is not being is not paying for resources which are not being used. So any resource which has been left unattended by Student Cloud or any in Student Cloud by any user will automatically be shut down. So that way we make the most out of that pay-as-you-go model of the cloud. Now we can also see the different images. So a virtual machine image is what we actually claim to get an image from, and that makes us a virtual machine. So you see I have image 1. This image 1, this is what was the basis of my virtual machine. And then we can also see all the students which are in the lab, how many credits they have, how many virtual machines, and when they have last had access to the platform. So it's very simple, but you have a very easy way of providing students and a teacher the ability to have virtual machines to use in a laboratory environment. Now, we also have a admin dashboard for that. So even the IT staff never have to enter the Azure portal. They can just use our admin dashboard to create labs and manage all the users and groups. So users have credits. Those credits will eventually run out at some point, and then they can request more credits. So an admin or a teacher can then come and accept the requests by giving them more credits, or they can also reject it. That's a very simple way of just managing those credits, giving students more access if they are almost at the end of an assignment, for example. It's very easy to give them more access while still maintaining full control over the total usage of the platform. Now the labs, that's the most important part. Creating a lab is very simple. You just give it a name, a new virtual network will be created. We select a teacher, we select a group. So the group is going to be the students who are going to have access to the lab. And then we can select a region. The region is the data center, everything will be housed at. But depending on what you will be doing with virtual machines, say there will be sensitive data, is interesting to have in the correct region for GDPR reasons. And then we can set how many virtual machines a student can have. For example, they can have a maximum of 2. And in the lab, there can be a total of 100 virtual machines. Say we have over 50 students, for example. And once we save that, it will be created in the background. But for the sake of the demonstration, I will continue with an existing one. So then we have a new lab. We can see the teachers of the lab, the groups of the lab, and also the settings for the limits. And then we see all virtual machines which are connected to that lab. So virtual machines are created by these templates. So a virtual machine template is actually a definition of what a virtual machine will be. It's also very simple. We give it a name. And then we select a size, which is actually how many cores and RAM it will have. And we start very basic from 1 core and 2 gigabytes RAM, but we can go all the way to a 16 core, 64 gig, and even further on. But we only make those available which have been requested by universities. For example, the NC6 is tied to GPUs. So this virtual machine has a dedicated GPU available for usage. So the virtual machine can be used for rendering, for example. And once we select the size, we can also select an image. So we have the full marketplace available. We have Windows Server images, even images with pre-installed software. We have virtual network appliances, Unix images, so all different kinds of images available. Again, we only make a selection available based upon the request of the universities, because otherwise that list would be endless. But we don't only support marketplace images. If you as a university have created your own image, you can just send those virtual hard drives to us. We will prepare it for Student Cloud and then make it available to you in the platform to use as a virtual machine image. Now, adding a template will mean that these images are available for selection as by the student and teacher. So any virtual machine template, when somebody claims it, automatically a virtual machine is created. The correct resources are applied, the image is installed, and it all happens automatically in the background. Now, as you can see, I had started my virtual machine just a few minutes ago, and we can follow along that it's running. And all other virtual machines have been deallocated. That means no resources are assigned anymore, and they are not generating any more costs. Now, if you would have more time, I would just we could just sit here and wait until it stops automatically. But as long as I don't access it, it will automatically shut down over time, saving us the resources and making sure that we get the best out of the pay-as-you-go model. And we can create groups. So Student Cloud handles its own groups because we noticed that in single sign-on, there's not always enough granularity to actually have specific groups for your labs. So we can create a new group, we can edit a group, we can remove members, add members. It is very simplistic, but this way it's really easy to have a completely custom group of students that can have access to a specific lab. And we can also manage the users. So here we can give admin or teacher rights to people within our organization. And then one of the most important parts is the cost management. So as you can see, credits are linked to euros, of course, because at the end, an invoice needs to be paid. But this gives us a unique functionality in that if you would receive your invoice from Azure, that's a huge Excel file, all different kinds of resources you have used, how much you have used it, and the total cost. So it's very detailed, very interesting, but you will never know who actually generated that cost. Now at Student Cloud, because we use these credits, we can exactly tell you how much a specific user has cost out of that total cost of Student Cloud, of the cloud services that have been used by the university. And we can select a specific date range. We can take the previous 2 weeks, for example, and then we can see who has been using their credits. We can see which labs have been used, how much credits have been used in those labs. And we can also see which teacher has generated which costs exactly. So this way we have a very good view of what the total cost is or total generated costs are within Student Cloud of those cloud resources. And then lastly, we have a settings page, so we can set the auto shutdown based on credits. We can turn it off as well. People will then be able to go in a negative value. So it depends on how you want to handle the cost management. We can set a level for the auto shutdown based on credits and also for when they will get a warning. We can set a maximum level of credits for the students and for the teachers as well. So as you see, it's very simple. A whole lot of stuff is happening in the background. But this way, it's very easy. And this has become quite a big part of academic software, but it's very easy to distribute virtual machines as a lab environment within a university. Complex setups are also possible, different connections between labs, different connections to the campus of the university, multiple virtual machines. There's a lot of customization possible, but for that we have then discussions with the university on what we are specifically going to set up. But this way we can provide a very simple way of using cloud resources in the university. Now, let me just end by summarizing academic software again. So we have a very easy to use dashboard, a platform where you can supply any software required by the university or by the student. We can make a tailored selection based on the information we get of the student, of the teacher when they sign in, because we only use single sign-on. We can provide downloads, we can provide virtualization, linking through to other platforms, so doing intermediary single sign-on. And we also have the ability to deliver any kind of license, a product key, a subscription, we will automate as far as possible. And we have over 900 titles available at this point. So thank you. I think my time is about to come to an end. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Andreas. So if you have any questions, Andreas is at your disposal, so feel free to ask him.
Yes, please do.
Ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ για τη συμμετοχή σας. Για οποιοσδήποτε άλλες ερωτήσεις σχετικά με το προϊόν ή με συνδρομητικά πακέτα, είμαστε στη διάθεσή σας να σας απαντήσουμε. Thank you, Andreas. Σας ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ όλους. Καλά Χριστούγεννα. Merry Christmas.
Κύριε Αναστασάκη, μπορώ να ρωτήσω κάτι?
Βεβαίως.
Okay, I'll ask also Andreas. You said that this service is by subscription. Do you have any idea about, I mean, can you give us an idea about the subscription rates?
The subscription is for the specific software titles. So what we do is we look at all the software that you would want in want to use in the platform, and then we bundle all that software into a single invoice. That's for the university. So we'd actually have a cost based on the amount of users and based on the software in the platform. The subscription part is that for every specific software, there could be a subscription. For example, Adobe, LinkedIn Learning, and other software as well.
Do you provide, do you ask for any additional subscription for your own services besides those?
We actually
for accessing the platform, your platform, you said, I believe you said it was it's based on an annual fee.
Yes. So we have an annual fee for the platform, which is a base price of 12 euros per user per year. But that is the basis price.
Okay, so users are, for example, for a university of 40,000 students?
For example, yes. But it also depends on the software you put into the platform. So 12 euros is our starting point. But then...
yeah, I mean, our university, the International Hellenic University, is, has about 40,000 students. It's the third university in Greece. I assume this doesn't mean that the annual rate is 500,000, right?
No, it's something that needs to be, so we need to look at all the software you want to use, the amount of students. 12 euro is our starting point. It's the base price. And then from there, we look at the situation for a university. We actually go case by case for that. For a full university, for example, we can go, if the full university uses this, we can go to 5 euros, for example.
So 5 euros is the minimum?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Ούτως ή άλλως, I'm sorry, Andreas.
No.
Κύριε Λιωτόπουλο, μπορούμε όποτε θέλετε να το συζητήσουμε και τηλεφωνικά για να στείλω και μια προσφορά συγκεκριμένα. Να το δούμε, δηλαδή αναλυτικά για η συνδρομή που θα μπορούσε να σας αφορά, ας πούμε.
Okay, thank you.
Εμείς ευχαριστούμε.
Ευχαριστώ, καλές γιορτές.
Εμείς ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ για την παρουσία. Ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ. Καλά Χριστούγεννα για όλους. Αν δεν υπάρχουν άλλες ερωτήσεις, να ευχηθώ καλά Χριστούγεννα. Σας ευχαριστώ πολύ για την παρουσία.